Before I go any further, let me tell you what started this song. The shows I am about to mention do not reflect on the talented actors and actresses who appeared in them. They were only doing what they were hired to do, read a script and perform. John Ritter has always been one of my favorite actors, and his timing was phenomenal. So this is not about the actors. This is about the writers, the directors, and the people who approved the scripts and the character choices. In the 1980s, I was a child. I did not have control over the remote. Whatever the adults watched, I watched. And being the youngest in the entire household, I simply absorbed whatever was on the screen. One of their favorites was Three's Company. As a child, I processed it the way a child does. The adults laughed, so I assumed it was supposed to be funny. Even then, I had my favorites: Jack, Janet, Mr. Roper, Mr. Furley, and Jack's friend. I also liked Terry because she was professional, grounded, and relatable. But you may notice there are two characters I have not mentioned yet, and that is deliberate. Chrissy and Cindy. Nothing against the actresses. They were reading a script and filling a role they were told to play, a role Terry did not bring to the show, which is exactly why I liked Terry. But Chrissy and Cindy were written as the dumb blonde trope. Even as a child, something about that character made me uncomfortable. Maybe it was because I had my own struggles, being bullied, being called slow, being mocked for stuttering, not understanding inappropriate jokes, not catching on to slang. Maybe that is why, when I watched Chrissy, I did not laugh. I felt sorry for her. Because what they were having her do felt like they were making fun of people who were mentally challenged, autistic, or had Down syndrome. And I never liked that. I saw the same thing in the Golden Girls. I never related to that show. I was a child, and what did I know about senior citizens living together? But even then, I noticed that Rose always received the laugh track. People laughed at her confusion. And as an adult, I realized people loved that character. And because people loved it, the networks kept recycling that same trope. If it brought in a paycheck, they kept it alive. But psychologically, it also gave people permission to laugh at real individuals who struggle with processing, timing, or social cues. Then there was Night Court. As a child, I remembered the judge being funny, Bull being the lovable gentle giant, Velma with her no-nonsense personality, and Dan, played by the brilliant John Larroquette, being my favorite. I remembered the quirky characters who came through the courtroom. I even remembered the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote showing up in an episode. So as an adult, I bought the entire DVD set out of nostalgia. I wanted to relive the joy those characters brought me. But watching it again as an adult, I processed it differently. I had to skip episodes, sometimes entire seasons, because something bothered me that my child mind did not catch. The stenographer was written as the dumb blonde trope. And they kept making Bull more and more naive, forced, exaggerated, unnatural. It ruined the show for me. What I saw was not comedy. I saw people mocking someone who was slower to understand. I saw them laughing at naivety instead of slowing down to explain. I saw them turning confusion into punchlines. I realized, if this happened in real life, if someone genuinely struggled to process jokes, slang, or social cues, we would call it bullying. We would talk about autism, cognitive differences, or simple inexperience. We would say they deserve patience, not ridicule. But television taught entire generations that it is acceptable to laugh at the slow one. It taught us that the person who does not understand is the joke. And that programming stuck. It trained us to expect certain characters, and to punish real people who refuse to play them. This song is not about shaming anyone for what they were taught. This song is about naming the script we were all handed, and choosing to tear it up. What I am emphasizing here is simple: the networks were not the villains. They were reacting to what the viewers rewarded. When certain exaggerated caricatures made the ratings climb, the networks took that as a message: this is what the audience wants. Give them more. And when you really think about it, that is pathetic. Because what the viewers were essentially saying was, we want to see people who do not understand things get mocked. We want to see the sassy black woman, not an intelligent, nuanced representation of an African American woman. We want the sexualized, exaggerated version, not the real one. Take the animated Hercules movie from the 1990s. Remember the big, loud, over-sexualized, sassy black woman character? That bothered me. As an adult, it repulses me. Night Court did the same thing with Roz. Nothing against the actress, in real life she was nothing like that, and she was even playing against her actual orientation. But the show sexualized her constantly. She was written as angry, loud, always wanting a man, always on the prowl. It was a trope, not a character. And I see it everywhere. Talk shows, daytime television, sitcoms. The same recycled stereotype. When do you ever see an African American woman playing an intelligent, grounded, non-caricatured role? It is rare. Because the networks are thinking, we will do whatever makes money. And they are responding to what the viewers reward. That is the part that disturbs me. It is 2026, and we still see the same thing: the big, loud, sexualized, sassy African American woman. And that is one of the reasons I had to write this. Because what happens when you meet an African American woman who does not fit that character? What happens when you meet a blonde woman who does not fit the dumb blonde trope? What happens when you meet anyone who refuses to play the role the world expects? That is why this intro had to expand. Because what I am about to sing about deals with stigmatized stereotypes, and it is sensitive. So the expansion was not optional. It was necessary. And now for the harm that all of this caused. I can only speak for myself, but I know I am not alone. Even though I am multicultural, on the outside people see someone who appears to be of African descent, and they treat me according to the caricatures they absorbed from television. Let me give you examples. There were Caucasian individuals I knew who tried to speak to me in what I can only describe as street slang, expecting me to respond the same way. I did not even know what they were saying. When I did not mirror it back, they were confused. There were others who used coded words, slang for drugs, and I did not know what the words meant. When I said, "Sorry, I have never touched that stuff and never will," they acted as if the world had stopped spinning. One cab driver looked at me in shock and said, "Are you telling me you do not do that?" I was stunned. He even asked, "Why would he assume that about me?" And that was not the first time. There were Caucasian landlords I dealt with who treated me as if I were supposed to be the sexualized stereotype they saw on television. They came on to me constantly, even though they were married. I remember thinking, why do they assume this about me? Why are they treating me like this? As an adult, I understand now, they were responding to the character they had been programmed to expect. When I told them I was asexual and not interested, and asked them to respect my boundaries, they looked at me as if the world had ended. They could not process it because it did not match the trope. I have had Caucasian female acquaintances who treated me as if I were supposed to be the sexy black woman stereotype, their fetish, not my identity. And when they realized I spoke calmly, professionally, and intelligently, they bullied me. They treated me like the Rose character, the one they were taught to laugh at. It was programming. They wanted me to fit the script. And when I did not, they did not know how to treat me. Now that I have been diagnosed with Mosaic Down Syndrome, I am also starting to see how some people treat me the way they treated Chrissy on Three's Company or Rose on The Golden Girls. Not everyone does it, but some people do it subtly, the tone, the smirk, the impatience, the way they talk down to me if I stutter or ask them to repeat themselves. Sometimes it feels as if there is a laugh track playing in the back of their minds. If I say, "I do not know what that word means," or, "Can you explain that?" I can see the programming activate. And that is the point. The programming did create harm. Real harm. Harm that followed me into adulthood. Harm that shaped how people approached me, judged me, and treated me. And that is why this intro had to be expanded. Because what I am about to sing about deals with stigmatized stereotypes, and it is sensitive. The foundation had to be laid first. I was treated like the dumb blonde trope because of my Mosaic Down Syndrome. I was treated like the sassy black woman trope because of my appearance. I was treated like the sexualized black woman trope because of media programming. I am showing how multiple stereotypes collided with me all at once. This is not rebellion. This is basic humanity. When I stutter or need things repeated, when the laugh track plays in their heads, I am not Chrissy. I am not Rose. I am not your trope. I am a person. And if the script does not have room for that, then the script is the problem, not me.
You don't know me? You just recognize the script. The laugh track told me it was all harmless. But as an adult, I went back and watched those same episodes again, and what I saw wasn't comedy. I saw people mocking someone who was slower. I saw them laughing instead of slowing down to explain. I saw them turning confusion into punchlines. I realized, if this happened in real life, if someone genuinely struggled to process jokes, slang, or social cues, we would call it bullying. We would talk about autism, cognitive differences, or simple inexperience. We would say they deserve patience, not ridicule. But television taught entire generations that it's okay to laugh at the slow one. It taught us that the person who doesn't get it is the joke, and that programming stuck. It trained us to expect certain characters and to punish real people who refuse to play them. This song is not about shaming anyone for what they were taught. This song is about naming the script we were all handed and choosing to tear it up. I grew up in rooms where I didn't match the description. They looked at me and expected the lines they'd memorized from television. The walk, the talk, the attitude, the slang, but I never got the memo. I spoke like the books I read, not the reruns they played, and suddenly I was not enough of something and too much of something else. They said I talked too proper. They said I was acting brand new. They said I must think I'm better. All because I refused to perform the character they came to see. You don't know me, you just recognize the script. You don't see a person, you see the absence of the stereotype. The sassy one, the loud one, the quiet one, the dumb one, the fiery one, the stoic one, the spicy one, the slow one. Recognize the script. Media raised you better than your parents did. Sitcoms wrote the templates and we all studied them like scripture. Black women gotta be loud and strong. Blonde women gotta be clueless and sexy. Asian kids gotta be math machines. Latinas gotta be passionate and dramatic. Italians gotta yell. New Yorkers gotta be rude. Southern folks gotta be slow. And when real people walked in wearing none of those costumes, the whole room glitched. The script had no instructions for all the deviation instead of questioning the prowl. You don't know me, you just recognize the script. You don't see a person, you see the absence of the stereotype. This happens in every culture, every country, every group. The ones who don't perform get called traitors to their own blood. Not black enough, not Asian enough, not woman enough, not man enough. Too proper, too quiet, too loud, too soft, too serious, too different. We turned identity into a role to play and made individuality a betrayal. And the worst part, some of us started policing ourselves, performing the character just to stop the stares, just to get chosen, just to belong, just to survive the room. But I'm done auditioning for parts I never wanted. I'm done translating myself so you can feel comfortable. I'm done shrinking or inflating to fit the frame you brought. This is not rebellion. This is basic humanity. I am not a character. I am a person. And if the script doesn't have room for that, then the script is the problem, not me. You're brave enough. To every child who was told they were doing their own culture wrong, you were never the problem, the script was. To every adult still performing a character they hate, you can put the lines down. The stage lights won't burn you. You are allowed to be real. The danger is not being different. The danger is believing the script was ever truth. I choose to stay off script. I hope you'll join me.